into the end zone behind the block of Max Montoya. And take a look at the difference, 1980 to 81 for Ken Anderson, who might be this year's AFC MVP. Another renewal of the Battle of Ohio. The Browns beat the Bengals in Cincinnati earlier this year. Today in Cleveland, Cincinnati tries to turn it around by a score of 20 to 17. Cincinnati has won the toss, and to kick off, Steve Cox. David Verser is the deep man, and the rookie from Kansas is at the goal line. 15-20. Spins across the 25, and then he is met by a horde of brown shirts from the 27-yard line of Cincinnati. Johnson, the lone setback. They swing him out of the backfield. He makes the catch. And Pete Johnson along the sideline with the safeties. Beeman having taken over midway through the season for Tom Garden. Pete Johnson carries.
Sure, and this is where the pressure begins. At this point in the season, 4 games to go.
Those Anderson numbers, part of the key to the following statistic. Through 12 games in 1980, the Bengals had scored 16 touchdowns as Pete Johnson carries for a short gain. Through 12 games in 1981, they have scored 40 touchdowns, 2.5 times last year's total.
More than to win this game. First game as a Bengal coach against the Cleveland Browns.
Coach of the year in the AFC in 1976 for Cleveland. Anderson's first pass is batted in the air and drops incomplete with the last 3 games between these two teams and 4 of the last 5. 2nd and 3 from the 46. Pete Johnson asked to get 3 yards. Instead, he'll lose about 3. Autry Beeman spotted at the 42 with 12:40 to play in the first quarter. Steve Kreider comes in as a third wide receiver. He and Curtis are on the right side, Collinsworth on the left. Good protection, all kinds of time, but incomplete.
Off the football, you'll watch the defense here, see the drops of the linebackers. All 3 of them standing right there. I think the primary receiver was Kreider, but the linebacker coverage once again took the ball away, so it throws to Dan Ross, the alternate receiver. Good protection for Ken Anderson. And this just 2 weeks ago against San Diego, Ken Anderson seemed to be able to make those completions. Today, so far, not so lucky.
Pat McAnally, the NFL's leading punter, kicks away to Dino Hall at the 15. Can't get outside, loose football. The Bengals have it. Pouncing on it is Jeff Shue, number 59. And the Bengals, who are among the NFL's best on that giveaway takeaway table. The turnovers far and away in their favor through the first 12 games. Get a big one here.
Bob, coming into this football game, too, Forrest Gregg had so little to really complain about the overall performance of his football team that he cited coverage of punts and kickoffs as being something they wanted to pay attention to. That should not have been a fumble. It is very, very cold today. You notice Dino Hall not wearing gloves, and that ball gets slick. But that's certainly a monstrous turnover in favor of the Bengals. First down and 10 on about the 11.
Sam Ratigliano from 11-5 in the playoffs in 1980 to a 5-7 mark through 12 games in 81. Charles Alexander bangs down to the 6 to the goal line. Look for Johnson, who has scored 13 touchdowns, 10 on the ground, 3 through the air. This is Pete Johnson. 1 grudging yard to the 5. Henry Bradley out. Elvis Franks in the 94 along the front wall. Johnson alone setback. Anderson again with good protection. Swings to Pete Johnson, and Johnson has his 14th touchdown of the season.
Interesting set by Cincinnati there. 2 tight ends, 2 wide receivers, and 1 running back.
Something they've been doing a lot this year, Trump, employing M.L. Harris along with Dan Ross.
Interesting. Pete Johnson coming out of Ohio State, I don't believe it caught any passes at all. He has turned out to be one of their most trusted receivers out of the backfield. And this is exactly what Cincinnati has done the last 4 weeks in beating the likes of Houston, Los Angeles, San Diego, and Denver. They get on the board first. And with that multivariate offense, they are difficult to keep track of throughout the football game.
Steve Kreider now is the holder, and Jim Breach who is perfect this year on point after tries, 39 of 39, will try and add the 7th point. And does. The clock stops. Neutral. Last year's cellar dwellers are at the top. Dino Hall and Greg Pruitt are the deep men, and Dino Hall takes it. Last time he coughed it up. This time he finds a little bit of daylight and gets out near the 30-yard line.
Last week, all but virtually being eliminated from the playoffs, wanted to avoid turnovers like he just saw Dino Hall give up.
Charles White is in the backfield rather than Greg Pruitt because Pruitt was back on the return for this first play, and it's Mike Pruitt who carries out across the leading active NFL interceptor with 51, and you saw their safeties as well. Charles White carries, and the former Heisman winner finds the 56 yards in that game. Mike Pruitt replaced him after Miller was hurt, carried for 70 yards on 13 tries. It's third down, and we'll call it 4. And for the first down.
You'll see right up through the middle, the 4-man front expecting a pass. Gary Burley playing on the guard. And if there's one positive thing about this Cleveland Brown offense is that offensive line are a bunch of real bullies. They play very, very well together. And with running backs like Mike Pruitt, Cleo Miller in the backfield, this is no easy task for any team defensively.
On that offensive line, Doug Deacon, the veteran out of Illinois, playing in his 150th consecutive game. 150 straight starts despite a variety of injuries. Joe DeLamielleure playing his 130th straight. Leading 3-0 in New England. Buffalo still in the playoff hunt at 7-5, an early lead against the Redskins. Second down, and a big hole through it, but he coughs it up, and Brian Hicks has the fumble recovery at midfield. The second Cleveland turnover of the first quarter.
And that is a problem. You are dealing with human nature here. These are people. They are not robots, and when you lose a chance to make the playoffs, that's a good hit by Reggie Williams. But I think early in the season, Mike Pruitt hangs onto the football. Second turnover for the Bengals. They take over on what? The Cleveland.
Another Cleveland turnover. Kenny Anderson goes back to work from just across midfield. Pete Johnson carries on first down, and Johnson gets 10 before Clay Matthews, number 57, is able to stop.
The Mexican connection for the Bengals. Excuse me, it's Dave Lapham on that side. And Pete Johnson out of Ohio State. He is a rolling refrigerator to try to tackle. If he gets those legs into your chest, he's going to hurt you.
The Bengals have been fairly lucky with injuries this year, except on the offensive line, where young Michael Bravik and also Glenn Bushnock have been sidelined.
But they have survived. Presently, this week, they turned in no injuries to the NFL office.
The big difference, as I see it, Trump, between last year's Bengal team and this, just in addition to Forrest Gregg having another year to work with him and the maturity of the team, is team speed, the downfield threat, especially in Collinsworth and Verser when he's in there. The team speed of this club is just greatly improved. Anderson wants it all. Going up top for Collinsworth. He's got it! Touchdown! What a play!
You are prophetic, Mr. Costas.
9 yards on the scoring pass, the 23rd touchdown strike of the season for Anderson.
The catch over Ron Bolton, and the point you were trying to make on team speed is absolutely correct. Now with Chris Collinsworth and David Verser, defenses have to go into every week when they play the Bengals looking to stop those two gentlemen. They've got to look for him, find him, and try to rotate a zone that way. That was great individual effort. Bolton had him covered, the ball slightly underthrown, and Collinsworth comes back to make the catch.
What a rookie season. 47 receptions now, 6 for touchdowns. Kreider spots it. Breach kicks it. And it's 14-0 Cincinnati. 7 minutes and 13 seconds to play in the first quarter at Cleveland. And the Bengals are on a roll looking for their 5th.
NFL football field for about 5 years. Great presence.
Dino Hall. Gets outside. Dino Hall is out to the 45-yard line. Rick Rossano, number 51, finally got to him.
Now, if you're Sam Rutigliano and the Cleveland Browns, even though they're down 14 points, the Bengals got the points so easy that there was a tendency as a team to kind of let up a little bit. Therefore, the return by Dino Hall. what the Cincinnati Bengals have to guard against now is saying, well, this is no problem. We're going to do the same thing to these guys that we did to Denver last week. But it's not quite that easy. Brian Sipe can throw the football, and he's got some weapons out there.
38-yard return for Dino Hall. For Chris Collinsworth fans, the actual numbers on him are 6'5" and 192, which is considerably more healthy. Greg Pruitt and Mike Pruitt are the running backs. 7:02 to play first quarter. Mike Pruitt carries again, couple of yards at most. Tommy Kramer has already thrown 2 touchdown passes. He's 14-zip at Minnesota. Sipe to the air for the first time. Dave Logan makes the catch, skips out of bounds. Their shot is 3-2 away from Riverfront in Cincinnati, 6-1. The Browns handed them their only defeat there. 3rd down 3. In motion, Ozzie Newsome. Sipe is looking in his direction. If he can get rid of it, it's incomplete. They'll have to punt.
Lewis Breeden appears to have Ozzie Newsome all over the field as you watch the pass rush. And obviously, Mike Pruitt, the primary receiver, was really nailed out there and kind of took him out of the pattern. But I think it's interesting that they have enough respect for Ozzie Newsome that they put Lewis Breeden a corner on him, man for man, all over the field.
Steve Cox is 3rd in the AFC and 5th in the entire league in punting. In his conference, he trails McAnally of the Bengals, Guy of the Raiders. Mike Fuller is the deep man. Cox gets away a good one. Fielded at the 13-yard line by Fuller. And he gets to the 20, and that's all.
And his rise at Cincinnati, as compared to Cleveland, is eerie. I'll expand on it in a couple of minutes.
The call while we were away was holding against the Bengals on the run back, pushes them back near their 5-yard line. Jet fans.
The final 2 minutes, it looked like it was written by Neil Simon.
Pete Johnson trying to wedge out some yardage. And as the nickel back now on 3rd down and 6. From, we'll call it, the 10-yard line. They fake the pitch to Johnson. Anderson scrambles out of trouble, slings one out, and it's incomplete. Off the hands of Dan Ross.
The rollout comes off the nose, and then all of a sudden Anderson is faced with, 97, that's Brown. And Henry Bradley finally gets in there for the pressure, but it kind of destroyed the rollout. And all of a sudden, you go to receiver 3. Well, Cleveland is now going to have excellent field position for the first time in the ballgame.
Bush will snap it. Dino Hall, who's been a very busy young man, is back to receive McAnally's punt. Fairly low kick. If he can field it cleanly, he's got some room. Plays it on a bounce at midfield, 45-40. And a decent return, and the Browns are in good shape.
There was almost an alley open here for Dino Hall. He just couldn't quite squirt up through it, even with his short stature. You'll see the play from the outside. I believe that's Steve Kreider that makes the tackle, number 86. A diving tackler. That's a long return for Cleveland. Now 1st and 10 on Cincinnati's 40. Best field position for the Browns so far.
Dino Hall is 5'7" and 165. As Brian Gilby told you a moment ago, Freeman McNeil, the fine rookie for the Jets, 30-yard touchdown run for the 7-zip lead. Franco Harris's short burst has Pittsburgh up on the Rams 7-0. In motion is Ricky Feature. They pitch it back to Mike Pruitt. First quarter workhorse. Big hole for him. Bolts off left tackle. 25, 20-yard line.
When Retigliano took over this football team, he went to Mike Pruitt and he said, son, you're too good to be sitting on the bench. He had fumbleitis for a couple of years, but Retigliano has shown great confidence in him, and he has responded. He's been their best running back.
Pruitt's first quarter numbers, 6 carries, 46 yards. Inside 4 minutes to play in quarter number 1. 14-0 Bengals. 2 Brown turnovers, 2 Cincinnati touchdowns. Pruitt again for a couple. Sipe, 21 interceptions. An important statistic this year. White tries to get outside. Nothing doing. Loses a yard. 3rd down, and we'll call it 10. The ball is back near the 20. And now they want to talk it over.
Smart. If he snaps the ball, it's a penalty on Cleveland. They had 2 guys in motion at the same time. That's the experience of Brian Sipe.
Play from scrimmage. 9 of them have been on the ground and 2 through the air. This will be the 3rd. Sipe needs 10 yards on 3rd down, and he's sacked. Gary Burley got him. The 32nd Bengals sack of the season. And not only does it deny them the chance to keep the drive alive for the touchdown, but leaves them with a very long field goal try should they decide to do it.
The Bengals began this season as a very, very poor pass rush football team. You see the set on the offense there. People spread all over the place. But in the last 3 games with that sack now, they have 17 sacks. And you see good coverage down the middle. Actually, it's good pressure because it did appear that Logan was open there momentarily. And the pressure didn't allow Brian Sipe to get a good look down the field. What are we going to do here, kids?
An interesting situation, Trump. Matt Barr is their regular field goal kicker. However, if they decide to go with a very long field goal, this guy, Steve Cox, with the stronger leg, would kick it. In this instance, they're going to decide on a punt. The Browns have taken too much time, obviously doing that intentionally, so that they can give Cox a little bit more area to aim at as he tries to put it out of bounds inside the 10, so they'll move it back 5 yards.
Well, now, wait a minute. Mr. Cox was about 15 seconds late getting on the field. I'm not sure he was aware that they were going to punt it. It may have been he had to change his field goal kicking shoe for a long distance field goal to a punting shoe. Thank you very much, sir.
In any event, the Bengals declined the penalty, and wisely so.
Okay, we'll see what happens. This has been one of the bright spots of the Cleveland Browns. For years, they have had problems with their punter. This kid can kick the football, and it's going to, in the long run, get them out of a lot of trouble.
The Browns have worked all week long on fake field goals, fake punts, onside kicks. This might be a good situation for a fake. They kick it away. Maybe they should have tried the fake.
And a little more adrenaline pumps through some of those veteran players, and they play like the Steelers of old.
1st and 10 from the 20 with 1:33 left. Pitch it back to Pete Johnson. 5, 6, 7 yards as he drags people with him. Thomas,
man out of Ohio State, still, I believe, leads the Big Ten in scoring. He had something like 60 touchdowns in 4 years. And one of the most potent offenses ever to play college football. Archie Griffin at running back and Pete Johnson at fullback.
Johnson with 14 touchdowns this year, including one today. 11 of them, make it 10 of them on the ground, and 4 of them through the air. That ties him for the league touchdown lead at this moment, with Muncie of San Diego and Tyler of the Rams. And Johnson and Wendell Tyler has 14 touchdowns for the Rams, 9 rushing, 5 on pass receptions.
It's a simple game to play, Bob. You simply control the line of scrimmage, play it in the defense's area on their side of the football, and more times than not, you're going to win the game. Easier said than done, but that's the design of all football plays.
1st and 10 from the 33. Anderson to the air. Over the middle, he's got Isaac Curtis. And Curtis is brought down at the 47-yard line. Curtis loves Bengals with the ball at their 46 and leading 14-0. Anderson over the middle to a wide-open Dan Ross. A first down at the 38 of the Browns.
Out there expecting Pete Johnson to get the reception. Dan Ross is the alternate receiver. And so far on first downs, the Bengals are absolutely chewing up the Cleveland Browns. 102 yards total offense to 38. The biggest difference, 10 yards, minus 10 yards passing for the Browns. The biggest difference, the 2 turnovers that the Browns have had in that first quarter. Both resulted in touchdowns.
On first down, Pete Johnson carries. Check it, make it Charles Alexander.
In Anaheim, California.
Addressed to Georgia Frontier. Anderson looks one way, throws another. Has been intercepted only 6 times all year. Plenty of time again, and a receiver. Dan Ross makes the catch.
Collinsworth outside. You must pay attention to Dan Ross. He is not going to run 80 or 90 yards on you with a reception, but he's a precise pattern runner, and he has very, very sure hands. Anderson now 8 of 10. 2 touchdowns. Last week, he had a fantastic day. 25 of 37, 396 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions against the #1 defense in the NFL, Denver.
He also ran for a score. They needed 9 yards on the last play. They got 10. It's first down from the 12-yard line. Anderson over the middle. Ross again down to the 7.
Yards on that pickup. It is decidedly in the favor of the offense right now. A defense has a difficult time defending 2nd and 5.
From the 7. Cincinnati. Collinsworth has his second score in the first half.
I did not expect this. These teams have always played very, very tough games. The Cleveland Browns have given up ground grudgingly for years to the Cincinnati Bengals. This is a very heated rivalry, not the blue-collar bowl that Pittsburgh and Cleveland plays. Don Good came within one more finger on his left hand of tipping that ball away, but 2 touchdowns. My goodness, 21-0.
It'll be 21 if Breach hits this, and he's 41 of 41 on the season. Ryder puts it down. Breach splits the uprights. 10 minutes and 46 seconds to play in the second quarter. And as we look at it again, the Bengals have a 21-0 lead.
Look at the protection. That's what gives him the opportunity to look all over the field for the receiver open.
I have to think that Collinsworth and Joe Delaney of the Chiefs are the top candidates for Rookie of the Year in the AFC. Dino Hall to bring another one back. And another good return out to the 33.
As long as you're speaking of a...
The 2 Pruitts are in the backfield, Greg and Mike. The Browns find themselves down 21-0. Sipe has plenty of time. Looking it over. Throws to the sideline and...
Holding, number 57, 5 yards, first down.
Jim Tunney makes it official. He's the referee. The umpire, Pat Harder. Head linesman, Sid Seaman. Line judge, Dick McKenzie. The back judge is Pat Knight. The side judge is Gil Mace. The field judge is Johnny Green. From the 39 of the Browns, 1st and 10. And in a 21-0 hole with 10.5 minutes to play in the first half. They go with the delay and handoff to Mike Pruitt. Pruitt is good for 7. But it is 21 love if you want to carry it a bit further. Putting the Browns fans in an ill humor. Greg Pruitt. A couple of very tough yards at most. And it's
in front of Brian Sipe. Wilson Whitley stands up Sullivan and allows the linebackers to make some penetration. Cameron and others in on the tackle. Reggie Williams.
Eddie Edwards is down on the... Mike Pruitt and Cleo Miller are the backs. They've got 2 tight ends with McDonald Odin in there as well.
Oh, they
third end scored and they stopped him. It's 4th and 1 and the Browns fans don't appreciate it. The Cleveland elects to punt, trailing 21-0. Mike Fuller lets Steve Cox's boot bounce. It goes into the end zone, and it'll be Bengal ball at the 20.
Everybody healthy. We're going to have a fine football team, but they need an excellent draft next year.
Charles Alexander goes out of the backfield and wide to the right on first down from the 20-yard line. Short drop by Anderson, and he throws over the head of Alexander. 2nd and 10, halftime. Alexander in motion. Anderson again. And Judson Flint, number 20, comes in as the nickelback for the Browns. Anderson has time. He has Kreider, but Kreider... approach by McAnally.
He tripped.
The ball hit a Cleveland player in the back, but the Browns are there to pick it up.
All right, we're going to have 2 penalties now. Pat McAnally tripped in approaching the football and took an extra step, and that, of course, you're going to have an illegal lineman downfield. Then it appears we're going to have a push in the back by a Cleveland player.
What a weird play. Watch now, McAnally stumble.
He nonchalantly goes up there and stumbles. You see right there? And then he's got to take the extra step, and you already see 58, the center, Blair Bush, down the field illegally. So Mr. McAnally's going to get another chance.
Then the ball hit a Browns player in the back, but Eddie Johnson, number 51, was there to recover it.
So they'll take 5 yards off the Bengals, and Mr. McAnally will try to punt it without tripping this time.
We're having a little trouble with Jim Tunney's microphone, and again, we apologize for that.
4th down. Numbers were 58 and 52 ineligible.
7:42 to play second quarter. Cincinnati 21 and Cleveland nothing. McAnally now stands inside his own 10. Boy, they are really stretching for it to make that one rhyme. Cleveland peels back to set up a return, and McAnally really got into this one. Drives Dino Hall back to the 25-yard line. 35. Another good return by Dino. The Bengals are #1 in their division. We'd like to think we're #1 here at NBC. Sipe rolling right on first down, tucks it in, escapes with a long 7 from just outside the 39. 6:40 to play. Draw play, Mike Pruitt, nothing. Slammed down by Reggie Williams, number 57. 3rd and long coming up as we pause briefly for
at all. He has on the day so far 9 rushes for 55 yards, but down 21-0. They have to throw the football.
Calvin Hill and Greg Pruitt are the backs. Newsome is in motion, and whistles and flags. Or near the top in the AFC, and you can throw in San Francisco in the NFC. Sipe with time and with a target. It's a Cleveland first down. Ricky Feature gathers it in at the 45 of Cincinnati.
Lineup, and Feature is their fastest player. Sipe once again, good protection, plenty of time to throw the football. He's a timing thrower. He does not have one of those gun arms. He will throw the ball before the receiver breaks, and then the receiver adjusts to the football. Good catch, big first down for Cleveland.
5:15 to play second quarter. Sipe looks once, then flips the short one, which is in Huckleby, a 1-yard touchdown run. They're midway through the second quarter at Minnesota. The fake to Pruitt.
Newsome.
Ozzy's got it. 25-20, and Bobby Kemp knocks him out of bounds. 57 receptions.
Bob, the mistake initially made by the Bengals, no one tried to get a bump on Ozzie Newsome. You see Bo Harris, 53, trying to run him down, along with Bobby Kemp. Newsome is too good a receiver to give a free release off the line of scrimmage. You've got to try to upset his pattern a little bit by making contact with him. He ran free from the right side of the field all the way to the left side of the field.
26 yards and a first down at the 18 of the Bengals.
Feature.
No, Mike Pruitt instead.
Say, Bryant, I was wide open. He took the alternate receiver, the short man. He looked down there. He may be setting up this next particular play, which might be the same pattern to Ricky Feature. Second down now and about 2.5 for the Browns.
They spot the ball at the 11, so give them 7 yards on the last play. Motion along the line and hold everything.
That'll be against the defense. Wilson Whitley making contact.
It'll give them a first down.
If it is against the defense.
Enforcement defense.
First and goal coming up for the Browns. This is their deepest penetration. In the first quarter, they got as far as the 20. Then Sipe was sacked, and they didn't even get a field goal try out of it. Once
the contact is made, that's encroachment on the defense. First down at the 6-yard line for the Cleveland Browns.
4:54 to play second quarter.
Hard to figure the nose man is sitting right there staring at the football. But there are little tricks of the trade that centers use. Squeezing the ball ever so slightly. The nose man looks for movement in the hand, things of that nature, and bam, he jumps offside.
Logan to the left, Feature to the right. The tight end Newsome in a slot on the right. White and Mike Pruitt are the backs, and Mike Pruitt carries for a yard and goal from the 5. To the air. He got it, he does.
Down number 54. 10 yards.
Joe DeLamiere was holding on the play. And it's called back, but there was a fine reception by Newsome with decent coverage by Bobby Kemp, 26. That seems to be the tone of the game for the Cleveland Browns. They get it in the end zone. A holding penalty brings it back.
And it becomes 2nd and goal at the 15-yard line with 4:10 left. Charles White now is in with Mike Pruitt. Sipe looking, and down he goes. From the 5-yard line, they've been pushed back to the 25. Wilson Whitley gets the sack, the second Bengals sack of the first half.
Bob, that's taking a heck of a chance on the Bengals' part. They had 4 receivers in the ball game, and they blitzed the strong safety, Bobby Kemp, 26 from the right side. You see him right there flying in. That is really taking a chance, but Whitley on the sack. And now it's 3rd down and 25.
3rd and goal.
From the 25.
And if they don't pick something up here, they have watched a 1st and goal from the 6 become a very long field goal attempt.
Bengals making the blitz. Too much time.
Oh, this is an almost unbelievable mistake. 2nd time it's happened in the 2nd quarter.
You know, it really amazes me that we are looking at the player of the year last year in the NFL and the coach of the year last year in the NFL. And these fans that sit in the stands, I realize they are fans and they want the Cleveland Browns to win. But what good does booing do? I mean, they're disorganized out there. Boos don't help a bit.
It prevents you from getting an ulcer if you're a fan.
And cold.
Releases your tension. 3rd, and they've got to go to another time zone for the touch. He wants Beecher, and he's got him.
Beecher has had tremendous success against the Bengals. They went to the well once too often. That is the Bengals. They blitzed again. You see John Simmons, 25 on the coverage, rookie 3rd-round draft choice, and Beecher did exactly what he was supposed to do, bring speed to the offensive lineup.
That bar hits the point.
5 and 7, down 21-7. Why not?
Well, evidently Sam Ratigliano thinks there are some reasons. Cox's kick bounces down to David Verser near the 10-yard line. Big lane opens up for him. But it closed just as... Alexander and Johnson on the backs. Anderson over the middle to Alexander. Anderson on 2nd down has it batted down.
91, Henry Babb.
Johnson, the lone setback. Anderson over the middle, and there's the 1st down reception. M.L. Harris hauled it in 45 yards. Bengals with a 1st down at the 45. They swing it out of the backfield to Pete Johnson, and Johnson gets out of bounds.
Brown behind, and Mike Brown, the assistant general manager, in the front row.
2nd and 1, and they get that and then some. Collinsworth makes the catch and is drilled out of bounds at the 25 after a gain of 13. Hanford-Dixon, the run.
Wow, this has been entirely too easy for the Bengals. The Cleveland Browns defensively have never been considered one of yardage. It's just astounding.
The ball is at the 23, 1st and 10. And Anderson is sacked for the first time. Blasting. There's Steve Kreider racing out to set up wide on the left side. 3 wide receiver sets, 2nd and 18 from the 31 of the Browns. Anderson has time, and he's got a receiver to him down inside the 10-yard line.
Able to thread the needle.
And he does it again. The completion to Dan Ross, who is dragged out of bounds by Don Good at the 5-yard line. And there you see the time remaining. Plenty for Cincinnati. That's no longer a concern. They have 2
to the end zone.
2nd and goal at the 5. Johnson. 3rd and goal just outside the 2-yard line. Anderson rolling right, looking. Gets rid of it. Touchdown. M.L. Harris.
Cornerback and the linebacker on that side. Watch this fake. They think they give it to Pete Johnson. Good can't quite make the tackle, and then he's got his choice to run in or throw it in. That, I believe, is now his 25th touchdown on the season.
And 4 of them here in this first half. 2 to Collinsworth, 1 to Johnson, 1 to M.L. Harris. for Harris, his first touchdown reception of the season. Breach now tries to keep his conversion record perfect. And he does. He's 43 for 43 in that category this year.
I'm very surprised. There's Mike Brown to the left. John Sawyer, the president. Oh.
Sipe, chased by Brown. Gets rid of it to Mike Pruitt. Couple of blockers in front of him, and Mike Pruitt. Sipe to Mike Pruitt.
Good job.
He gets out of bounds, and it's a first down. Gloomy for all these people on the Cleveland bench, down 28-7.
That was Lyle Alzado, one of the inspirational leaders of this football team.
Sipe with 15 seconds left. Scrambles out of trouble. Gets out of bounds and takes a lick for his trouble. Reggie Williams.
Here, almost right in front of us. And there's Burley right with him. And Sipe has got to look for somebody else. I believe the wide receivers of the Cleveland Browns so far today have caught a grand total of 3 passes. 1 for a touchdown. Logan has 1 for 5 yards. And that's it. I'm wrong. The tight end, Ozzie Newsome, has a catch for 20 yards. The majority of their receptions have gone to running backs. That's certainly misleading. That doesn't account for the 2 turnovers that resulted in touchdowns.
6 seconds left. The 2nd and 4 is irrelevant. Got to just throw this one up and pray. 1 second left. Shirts 28-7. Trump.
I have a feeling that on the Bengals side of the field, Forrest Gregg must be very, very surprised to be leading 28-7, and Sam Rutigliano's got to be very, very disappointed. I'm sure he expected a great deal more of his players, even though they're 5-7.
That's the end of the first half. Touchdowns. Now the Browns will receive the second half kickoff, and Jim Breach boots it toward Dino Hall. And Hall is across the 20 to the 26-yard line. And that's... And a look into the face of Brian Sipe, who fakes the give to Mike Pruitt. And then throws to Pruitt, 50th consecutive game.
How about now, Joe?
Sipe out to Ozzie Newsome. And Newsome, Dick Shafrath for the other 2. Then the baton was passed to Doug Deacon. And he has handled it well. Newsome again.
Then you get those linebackers sitting at 10 yards, and all of a sudden there's a deep pass. This is very different than the way they started the ball game. It took Brian Sipe almost 2 series before he threw the ball.
Henry Shepard is in the ball game now in place of Deacon, who went out. Shepard wearing number 65.
Newsome and Feature in tandem at the top of the screen.
Delayed handoff to Pruitt, who breaks a couple of tackles and turns it into a 3-yard. Is in his 6th year from SMU, 6'6", 263.
And he is taking on Ross Browner there. You see a blitz by the Bengals. Reggie Williams. Browner misses the tackle, and Mike Pruitt picks up some good yardage. He's been their big gun so far today. 11 carries, 59 yards.
And Doug Deacon has come back into the game.
There's Eddie Edwards with ice on his knee. That would be a serious blow to the defense if he can't play for the remainder of the season or next week.
Play fake on 3rd and 1. Incomplete.
Under.
4th and 1 at their own 48, and they'll punt, trailing 28-7. Fuller watches it take a Cincinnati bounce. And the Bengals wind up with the ball at their 25 after Cincinnati is in the process of turning that around today, leading 28-7. They have the ball at their own 25, and Pete Johnson carries 5 yards, 10 yards, first down, Cincinnati.
And this is entirely too easy yards for the Bengals to make. You see Tom Darden there on the tackle, now playing free safety for the Cleveland Browns.
He's replaced Autry Beeman here in the second half, and it was Tom Darden, you may recall, who late last season leveled Pat McInally with a questionable hit, which drew him a $1,000 fine from the NFL office.
If you'll pardon this, it may be the point of conception for the turnaround of this football team. That hit.
Poetic license taken by Bob Trumpy. Pass taken by Chris Collinsworth. Hit delivered.
Collinsworth out of Florida. I still wonder who this guy really is. He cannot be a rookie, not the way he plays. I have no idea who he is, but he has certainly had a very positive effect on the Bengals and been a consistent.
7 of them for TDs.
And did you say he's one of 7 receivers to catch a pass today for the Bengals?
That's correct. On 2nd and 3, they pitch it back to Pete Johnson and John Anderson. Almost intercepted by 10 at the 46-yard line of Cincinnati. Bengals with the 28-7 lead. Pete Johnson. Charles Alexander on the line. Ken Anderson now has exactly 200 yards passing today, 20 of 26, 4 touchdowns. 3rd and 7 at the 49. This time it's Pete Johnson. Acting at his own 40, and Dino Hall, the deep man, is at his 10. Fields it at the 12. And they've got
oxygen.
Yes. Sipe on 1st down, in trouble, has it batted away, and it falls in.
Last year, with Jim Schaffner as a coach here, he's now in Houston.
Mike Pruitt makes the catch, and that is and a long one from the 27-yard line. Feature is in motion. Mike Pruitt, awfully close, might not have gotten it. Let's see where they spot.
Williams, linebacker, takes on Charlie White. Whoops. Whoops. A left and a right, and it's 1st down Cleveland.
Again, Doug Deacon has left the Browns lineup, and Henry Shepard, 65, is back in to replace him. The Jets widen their lead to 22-0 over the Colts. The Colts defense has been rather woeful all season, but they have been able to score points. Today they can't even do that.
It was his first catch on the day, too, and Bob, it's easy to second guess the approach of the Cleveland Browns, but they've done reasonably well offensively in the 2nd half by throwing this short stuff to the backs out in the flat. 1st half they went almost 2 series before they threw the ball at all.
Greg Pruitt, throughout the years, one of the great all-purpose backs in the NFL. He's had his share of injuries, played through them, incomplete on 1st down. Intended. But you can have all the time in the world, and it won't mean anything if the Browns don't play better than they have. And there's the start. Dave Logan. Newsome, number 82. Quick lineup by the Browns. Little pass into Cincinnati, when the score really didn't indicate how completely they dominated the game. Sipe now firing long for feature. Breeden's got him covered and bats it away. Theo Miller and Mike Pruitt. The Browns controlled the ball for 42 minutes to 18 for the Bengals in that game. That ground game strategy hasn't worked today. Now trailing by 21, Sipe has to throw. But this time he'll keep it, get a good game. This will be the 10th Brown play on this drive, so they've held it for a while. Mike Pruitt, we're told, has 7 receptions today. That's a career high for one game for him. Sipe in trouble and caught from behind by Bo Harris.
Quarter of a football game.
Looks like he's been painting stripes down the middle of the highway. He's going to be on his back again. Ross Browner. 3rd and 27. And whistles and flags. Let's see how they sort this one out.
Well, the clock didn't run out on them that time.
False start, 65. Through before the snap.
In front from Lynn Dickey, and Dickey also hit John Jefferson for 30 and a score earlier. Sipe needs a bundle. Under pressure. Nearly entered back deep for the Bengals. Cox to kick on 4th and 32. Fuller, 20, 25, 32-yard line. Charles Alexander carries on 1st down for 3 or 4 yards, and lets him only 2 on the last carry for Charles Alexander. Under some pressure, Anderson to the sideline. Isaac Curtis makes the catch.
By himself, you'll see 22, Clarence Scott. Curtis always seems to have great games on grass and against Cleveland.
He told me earlier this year he really does not like to play on AstroTurf.
No.
Of course, he's 3rd and 5 from the 37. Anderson steps up into the pocket, drills it right into the breadbasket of his third quarter thus far, and the clock ticks merrily along. 3:15 remaining. Ross in motion. Anderson in trouble and down.
He's down.
The fumble came after again.
Not good in there. And the ball does pop loose. I think Lyle Alzado also on the pressure from behind. Second sack of the day. Now second down and what, about 19?
Well, let's call it 20 from the 37 as they lost 10 on that play.
Okay.
Big Pete Johnson, only about 3. Cincinnati. Pete Johnson makes the catch, but is stopped well short of.
Back in the NFL, this is one of the prices you pay. Judson Flint at about 185 pounds, taking on Pete Johnson at somewhere between 240 and 260. And Mr. Flint pays the price, but does get him on the ground.
Punts. We'll get it in a minute. McAnally. Low kick that takes a Bengal bounce and is out of bounds at the 21. Minute 5 to play third quarter. Fake to Greg Pruitt.
Rucker.
Sipe fires. Wide open. A 20-yard gain to the 41-yard
scrimmage.
They're going to put it down at the 47.
This was a desperation throw. Williams on the blitz, hits him just above the knee, it appears. Had no zip on the ball whatsoever, but good enough for a first down. Watch the blitz up the middle. 57. Reggie Williams comes at him low, just at about the thigh. My goodness, that's a heck of a price to pay. And the people, when he walked on the field, were booing. I'm not sure that he deserves all the fault.
Short drop by Sipe. Sipe incomplete into a crowd are the wide receivers. The pitch goes to Mike Pruitt, and he is drilled. Now they're going to face fourth feet till the first play of quarter number 4 to find out. Watch the play by Glenn Cameron. Pruitt 1 and 2. Instead, he got a loss of 1. At the end of 3, the Bengals have the lead. Dave Logan and Ricky Feature are the wide receivers. Newsom in motion to the left. Over the middle, they get the first down. Greg Pruitt makes the catch, and he's inside the 30.
The backfield, and they've got blitzes. 52 Dinkle, you see blitzing. It leaves man-on-man coverage, and Greg Pruitt against the linebacker. He's supposed to get that done. Coverage by Bo Harris. Tackle by Bobby Kemp. That's well designed. Where has that been all day?
Got 11 on the last play. Opening minute of the fourth quarter. Trailing by 21. Sipe with the play fake. Scrambles to avoid the rush of Sinclair. Picks up the blocker. Takes off. Good yardage. And out of bounds before Brian Hicks could get a clean shot at him.
Good job by Brian Sipe. And also by Joe DeLamielleure, 64 out in front of him. The message, block for me, Joe. And Joe D does. Brian Sipe on probably his longest run from scrimmage this season. He's not known as a running quarterback, but certainly sacrificing his body for the ball club. Calvin Hill now on the lineup, 35. Surprisingly even on stats. The 2 turnovers don't show, but in total yardage, surprisingly even.
Now better than 75,000 make themselves heard in Cleveland. Sipe throws on the run and into.
Appears to be single coverage. Rally on Logan. Breeden on Rucker.
Second and goal. Sipe trying to find a target.
Holding. One of the real secrets of this Bengal defense. He has played outstanding football in 1981.
Newsome moving out to the right. Mike Pruitt bangs down near the goal line.
They're in the trenches. Whitley on Sullivan. Hand off to Pruitt. Lots of bodies in there. And he's a good strong runner and picks up a couple of 3 yards. Second down and about the length of the football for a touchdown.
Two tight ends, Newsome and Oden in the lineup. White and Mike Pruitt are the running backs. Feature is in motion. Mike Pruitt belted as he carries into the middle of the line. It may seem premature to talk about this, but it's taking the Browns a bit of time to get in. And if nothing else, that's good for the Bengals. 12 and a half minutes left as Mike Pruitt scores.
Plays. And you see, you're just buying time against Mike Pruitt. He is a very, very powerful running back, and he eventually gets into the end zone. And they can make game.
Well, they have enough time that they don't necessarily have to try the onside if they don't want to. Matt Barr booms it through the...
Being 5 and 7 and staring 5 and 8 in the face.
That 24 of 30 is 80%. And Anderson is close to 65% for the season. Makes the pitch to Johnson. Rolls right.
Ross.
Wide open Dan Ross. Ross is inside the 35-yard line of Cleveland.
If I'm not mistaken.
You're right.
So it's a very, very heavy penalty. The line of scrimmage is at about the 38.
It's just across it as he releases. And was Ross ever wide open?
Fouls, passes from behind the line of scrimmage, illegal pass, personal foul on the defense, will replay the ground.
Can you imagine that?
Well, you had the first call right, but we missed the personal foul.
Did not see the personal foul, you are right, but that seems to be the way the season's gone for the Cleveland Browns. It's Hank Bulla discussing with his defense exactly how to stop the Cleveland Browns.
Former defensive coordinator. Offsetting penalties. 1st and 10 again from the 38. 12:08 to play in the ball game. Well, the Bengals aren't playing it conservatively. Good play by Robert L. Jackson. Stopping. Anderson hits Emil Harris out near midfield for a first down. Greg remembered that and brought him to the NFL.
And Hanford Dixon brought him to the ground. You'll see Harris right there. Watch this hit. But it's good concentration on the football. That is a picture-perfect tackle. And Emil Harris is going to feel that about 4 days.
Third down and less than a yard.
Bo Harris now at tight end for the Bengals, replacing Emil Harris.
Pete Johnson gets from the first down to the 50. Isaac Curtis to the right. 1st and 10 from midfield. The pitch back to Pete Johnson. Johnson breaks tackles and turns it into a 4-yard gain. Johnson has 7. Alexander has 2. Second down, 6. Anderson tucks it in, takes off, gets out of bounds, untouched. Cincinnati. Bengals haven't scored a point in the second half. Pete Johnson carries Rams.
So the Pittsburgh Steelers stay just 2 games behind the Bengals in the AFC Central.
Pete Johnson. Johnson, 20-yard line, and down near the 15 for a first. A week from today in Cincinnati, it would set up a heck of a confrontation 2 weeks hence in Pittsburgh.
Correct. Poor tackling by the Cleveland Browns. Very poor tackling at the line of scrimmage.
The way the Bengals are playing, however, you wonder who, if anybody, is going to be able to stop them. .10 remaining. Pete Johnson.
They show no signs of pressure of the latter stages of the football season, which is rather surprising. And looks like he banged his knee there a little bit. That was Anthony Munoz, number 78. But I think one of the reasons...
He's had trouble with that.
Yes, he's had surgery. One of the reasons I think they show no signs of pressure is that Ken Anderson, look at this.
Pete Johnson all the way, touchdown. 14 times for 94 yards in this game. This last carry good for 11 yards, and the score, his 15th touchdown of the season.
If I may lobby with the truck, wish you'd keep that play. I have a comment to make. A very, very...
Pete Johnson now has one more touchdown this season than Chuck Muncie of San Diego and Wendell Tyler of the Rams. Breach's kick is blocked, and that's the first point after the...
Recently.
But the Bengals got the ball and took off on a long time-consuming drive. Dino Hall gets outside, needs one more block, and doesn't quite get that.
Henry Bradley, watch who blocks him. Absolutely nobody. It's called a sucker play. The center pulls out, nobody touches Henry Bradley, and Pete Johnson rumbles by. Excellent call. And it does make, when things go...
Sipe to Pruitt, who's having a fine day, especially as a receiver. There's a flag down on the play.
Against Cleveland.
And his patented comebacks.
Williams.
Loose football. Let's see if they rule it free. St. Clair picked it up.
And Sipe is still on the ground. Reggie Williams, a delayed blitz right between the shoulder blades. Whoa.
Trump, you said in the possession of the Browns, but I know you meant to say the Bengals.
Excuse me.
And that's the third turnover of the ball game for the Browns. The first two led to first quarter touchdowns for Cincinnati as they grabbed a 14-0 lead. And this one has the Bengals knocking on the door as well at the 21.
On a day like today, I think if I were Sam Retigliano, I'd get Brian Sipe out of there for no other reason than just to protect him for the rest of the season.
6:48 left. And leading 34-14, the Bengals go back on the attack. In motion, Isaac Curtis. Fake to Pete Johnson, and the reverse to Don Bass. And Bass gets inside the 15-yard line and close to a first down. He got 8 on the play.
Watch the tackle at the end of this play. The Bengals still trying to get it in the end zone. Next year they got to play the Cleveland Browns. Watch this. This is what you call your clothesline tackle. That will bring anybody to the ground. Tom Darden. And we do see Paul McDonald warming up on the sideline. An excellent choice, I believe, by Sam Retigliano. We're going to get Brian Sipe killed out there.
Let's give Bass 9 yards on the reverse. So it's 2nd down and 1. Johnson is the lone setback. He carries. First down and then some. Don Good stops him just shy of the 5-yard line with help from Lyle Alzado.
And once again, he was held up at the line of scrimmage and still managed to make.
Ran 2 yards for a touchdown to give them the lead. And Tampa Bay started the day just a game back of Minnesota, and the Vikings are losing to Green Bay.
Whoops.
Anderson on what looks like a broken play gets back to the line of scrimmage.
You are correct.
And now a fight breaks out. Don Bass is the guy in it for Cincinnati.
And Clay Matthews, number 57. Unfortunately, things like that happen in the latter stages of a football game, in which it is 20-point difference. Pete Johnson on the day, 19 carries, 99 yards. And if he had gone the right direction and Ken Anderson had handed that one off to him, he probably would have had the 100. Offsetting penalties. This, unfortunately, is a game whose headline should read, in all instances, all seasons, all cities, what have you done for me lately?
To Pete Johnson. Johnson turns the corner and gets close to the goal line, driven out near the 1. And
that have just been outstanding on the day. 7. He has been a real workhorse.
Our spotters today, our statistician, Mr. Joe Costanza. Excellent support crew here in Cleveland. Thank you, fellas.
Best we work with. Gentlemen, thank you very much.
5:40 left. To the end zone goes Pete.
Happy on the inside. Sam Retigliano doesn't show it. You got to be very disturbed on the inside. What a difference a year makes.
Attempt was blocked. There's Curtis Weathers back there, number 55. He's going to try and vault over the top. Here he comes. But this time Breach kicks it too high for Wilt Chamberlain to do anything about. The Bengals in a rump. They are on their way to their 5th consecutive victory. They will have won 7 of their last 8, and they will be 10-3 on the season. Dino Hall out to around the 30-yard line, stopped by Oliver Davis, and the throw-in Samoan Jack Thompson limbers up. Paul McDonald is in the ball game, and some cheers greet him as he trots out on the field for the Browns. Central into next week's game against San Francisco in Cincinnati. With just 3 weeks remaining in the season, they'll be up by 2. Greg Pruitt makes the catch and the ball McDonald pass, and then races out of bounds. Not only are the Bengals winning, they're devastating people. It began with a 34-7 victory over Pittsburgh. Then the next week, for some as yet unexplained reason, they lost at at New Orleans 17-7. Then after that, 34-21 over Houston, 40-17 at San Diego, 24-10 over Los Angeles, 38-21 over Denver, and 41-14 here. The handoff to Mike Pruitt, brought down by Ross Browner.
Those stats that you saw on Ken Anderson, he's now thrown 7 touchdown passes in the last 2 games. Had, if my arithmetic is anywhere close to being correct, over 600 yards and thrown 52 completions. That's not a bad 2 weeks. That's a career for some people.
The Jets score now a final. Pat Leahy had another field goal, 27-yarder. He kicked 4 field goals in the ballgame. Freeman McNeil had a couple of touchdown runs. Long one by McDonald. And there it is. Ricky Beecher, who had a touchdown earlier, hauls it in and is down at the 15-yard line. 46 yards on the connection.
Boy, I tell you what, McDonald threw that one right on the money, too. That left-handed kid from USC. He really put this one on the money. Look at the spiral on that thing. Boy, that is amazing. That is a great, great throw. 2 feature.
Caught it inside of Lewis Breeden. McDonald in his 2nd year out of USC. See him blowing on his hands. He definitely does not like the cold weather. This is not what it's like in Southern California. 4th-round draft choice a season ago. Ricky Beecher has 3 receptions for 96 yards and a touchdown. McDonald off the hands of Reggie Rucker. Had 6 staring him in the face, but couldn't quite bring it in.
One of the problems with that situation, Bob, is that if the receiver does not see the ball leave the quarterback's hands, it's very difficult to adjust. And at the last second, Rucker got his hands up, and it kind of surprised him. You can see he looks outside first, then inside, and Reggie just can't get his hands up enough to stop the momentum, the forward progress of the football. Anyway, 2nd and 10.
By the way, the 41 points scored today is, again, you look at the Pittsburgh score, and they'll be 2 games back of the Bengals when the day is over. The Cardinal lead is 27-20 in the 4th quarter at New England. The game had been tied until Neil Lomax hit Roy Green with a 33-yard scoring strike with 33 seconds left. Mike Pruitt threw a big hole down inside the 5.
All right, now let me be the first one to ask the question. The initial question probably asked to Sam Rutigliano after the football game, who will start at quarterback against the Houston Oilers? I've asked it first. Everybody else is just being a copycat. And the starter should be Brian Sipe.
Well, I would agree with that. And I'm quite sure Sam will come back with Sipe.
Why not?
I don't think there's a good reason not to.
Oh, okay, fine.
However, you're correct. He will hear that question.
From every person that walks in the locker room.
Mike Pruitt, 18 carries, 75 yards. 1st and goal at the 5-yard line. McDonald, a short drop, a throw to the corner, and too long. 35-20 in the 4th quarter after trailing 14-0. The Bengals had 40 points at San Diego about a month ago. Ross Browner and Bo Harris are not at all fooled.
That's the 3rd time they had run that particular delayed draw on the drive, and they went to the well once too often.
Now McDonald on 3rd and goal. Touchdown to Greg Pruitt.
Bob, I got to tell you, that kid stands in there, and he stands in there good. He had a lot of pressure.
Now McDonald kneels to hold for Matt Barr. more effective with the onside kick attempts, which is what is in order here. And there it is. The ball is loose. Who's got it?
Well, the Browns accomplished what they wanted. The ball loose somewhere. Just take a chance of recovery.
They got to peel some bodies off to find out who's at the bottom. Cincinnati.
It's exactly what the play is designed to do. Just get.
And that's the final now. The Cardinals have won 3 games in a row under rookie Neil Lomax. And of more importance, the Jets with the victory.
Dan Ross.
And their lead in the AFC East. Dan Ross makes the catch from Thompson. And he is inside the 35-yard to 21.
Both teams with 3 timeouts left.
And probably little inclination to use them. Jim Hargrove, number 36, rookie out of Wake Forest, is in the lineup. He takes the pitch from Thompson and goes nowhere. Thomas Brown.
2-11.
You got it. Fortunately for them, the Baltimore Colts continue to lose, so they avoid the distinction of being the worst team in the league. They also might avoid getting the top draft choice. That's the other way to look at it. Thompson in trouble. Don Good got it. Sacked here. In a moment, I'm going to give you Anderson's season statistics, and they are impressive. Anderson has 250 completions for the year. He's completed 64% of his passes for almost 3,200 yards, 25 touchdowns, 4 of them today, only 6 interceptions. Thompson in the air on 3rd down and 21. Now it's time. The Bengals took a delay of game penalty to give McAnally a little room to operate with. The ball's at midfield now, and McAnally standing at his 35. Dino Hall, who has done about a season's worth of work today, is back deep. They put a rush on McAnally, but he gets the kick away. It's inside the 20. It'll roll dead at the 17. Postseason, and the Jets try to stay hot at Seattle. McDonald with less than a minute left. Batted up in the air and nearly intercepted. Frazier, the linebacker, tipped it, and Kemp nearly intercepted it.
10-3 with San Francisco coming up, and the Brownies must travel to Houston to play on Thursday against Earl Campbell and company. This is a tough game to come back from for the Browns.
That 11-3 record, as Mike Pruitt carries out across the 20-yard line, that 11-3 record in 1975 was the last playoff season, the last time the Bengals have been to the playoffs, the last season for Paul Brown as their head coach. Now the Browns with 2 timeouts left, but evidently content to let it run out, or at least not try and delay it any longer than they have to. The pitch is back to Pruitt. Pruitt still struggling for yardage, and that will be the last play of the ball game. The Browns will be 5-8. The Bengals are 10-3, a 2-game lead over Pittsburgh in the AFC Central. A happy hug for Forrest Gregg. This victory especially sweet for him. Not only is he able to hang with that 2-game lead atop the division, but he wins back in Cleveland, and that's something he